And we are live once again. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to Do It Yourself Budget Hot Rodding. And I've been trying to do this for a while, trying to edit the videos, and I just finally said, the heck with it. Let's go live. Let's talk about Project Spirit. So I'm going to kind of wait for people to start filing in and hopefully you all will enjoy this video. We're going to take a walk around the old girl. Project Spirit, for those that do not know, you've probably seen in the thumbnail, is my 1975 Ford Maverick. Hey, what's going on? Gamerin, Harrison, you guys are just in time. We're going to talk about my daily driven 1975 Ford Maverick. Yeah, I still drive an old car, a real old car, not nothing like you would think. So we're going to take a walk around the old girl. You're going to see what's changed on her, what stayed the same. If the frame rate starts kind of dropping, I need someone to kind of holler out and let me know if there's any problems with the stream. Because right over there is my apartment. Well, you can't see it. Okay, right over there is my apartment, right behind me, and that's where the modem is. Oh, trust me, Harrison. In car terms, this car is coming up on almost half a century old. So, with the push of a button, ta-da! This is Project Spirit. This is my baby. This is what we've been working on. For 4 years, this has been the car that's the true star of the Prince Magnum channel. So, if you guys have ever wondered what she looks like live, uncut, this is her. So we're going to take a true walk around, not just like this, but this will give you an idea what you're looking at, okay? Imagine, if you will, driving this to work every day. This is what I drive to work. This is the car that takes me to and from work, all that good stuff. She's a far cry from looking brand new. All right, now, the best place to start when you're talking classic cars is the first thing we got to say is Project Spirit is a 1975 Ford Maverick. Yes, she is not a muscle car. She's not a muscle car. And that term muscle car is actually that doesn't actually exist. There's no such thing as a muscle car. There's only cars that came with performance packages and the cars that didn't. That's really about it. And during the time that we call the muscle car era, the performance numbers got ridiculous. Well, Project Spirit actually came at a time when that stuff was going away. Performance numbers started dropping because we started to have to worry about gas crisis and the EPA and all that stuff like that. So believe it or not, she's actually an economy car. Ironically enough, I'm going to step back and give you guys an idea how big she is compared to most modern vehicles. She is actually a compact car of the 70s. So this should give you an idea how, what we considered compact cars back then. Okay. And she is made of 100% American steel. Okay. To give you an idea how tough this steel really is and what we used to build, do you see those gashes right there? Well, those gashes actually came when I lost my temper one day and threw a transmission and hit the door. Transmission can weigh up to, well, the one that I threw was a couple 100 pounds. I was really upset that day. And that's the worst that she took as far as damage from being hit with a transmission. So if that's any indication how tough these cars really are, that's amazing. And I know right now all of you want to see what's under the hood. Now, it's going to surprise you. It is not a V8. If it was a V8, she would not have lasted this long. Yeah, occasionally I do. When you work on cars, you will lose your temper, okay? It's just kind of how it is, Harrison. All right, now I'm going to have to turn it around for just a moment. You guys will get to see me for just a brief moment. Try to do this one-handed. It's not as easy as you might think. All right. There we go. Hood's up. Ta-da. There you go. an original 1970s Ford inline six. This inline six is carbureted. We'll talk a little bit about that here in just a moment. The artwork that you'll see under the hood, Princess Faye actually did herself. So this is actual artwork that Princess Faye herself did. Now, she is wanting to redo it because it's a little scuffed up and a little banged up and everything. And, that sort of thing. But this is the original engine that came with the car 45 years ago. Now, let me give you an idea here real quick. We'll come back to the engine here in a moment. But if you ever wondered, all vehicles have to have something like this. But don't rotate the device. No, stop it. Right there. We'll just look at it right like that, okay? Right over here, if you could see, that's a straight six, the inline six. If you're ever wondering how I get that number when she's listed as a 75, right there, date 11/74. So she was built in November of 1974 and listed as a 1975 Ford Maverick. As a matter of fact, there's actually suspension components that on this car are actually for the 74. They made some changes and she didn't get those changes because that came later on in the model year. So when I go to get suspension parts, I have to get them for a 74 Maverick, not the 75, even though she's a 75. So now you guys know that. All right. So this is an inline six. So not like on your modern day V6s, but all six cylinders are straight in line. That's why it's called an inline six. And for those who wonder what size of inline sixes, this is the 250, the largest of the inline sixes that were offered in passenger vehicles. So this is an inline 250 cubic inch displacement six cylinder. So for those of you who are across the ocean and go by metrics, that's a 4.1 liter engine, okay? A 4.1 liter six cylinder, okay? If you're keeping track of all that. All right, let's take a look at the carburetor. Now, the carburetor on here, when you go to change the air filter, it's ridiculously easy. It's just take that loose, right like that, and it just comes right off. It's ridiculously easy. Again, the artwork that you see right there, that's my wife's artwork. Okay. Right there, that's the air filter. That's how easy it is to change them on these cars. Just that. Okay. You pull that off, and there's the carburetor. This is not fuel injection. Okay. There is no electronics running to that. All right. It all runs off of vacuums and springs and just all sorts of stuff like that. Okay. So this is the original one. It's been cleaned up dramatically. It's changed a lot over the years as far as that goes. It's been rebuilt twice. Now this car gets 40 miles to the gallon on the highway. I don't know what that is in your metric area, but you get the general idea. That's ridiculously great for a modern vehicle. That's actually better than a lot of the four cylinders of today, and it's all because of this carburetor. Now, if you've ever wondered why that's so neat, in the 1970s, car companies started cleaning up their act. They started cleaning it up to appease the EPA. They started cleaning it up to deal with the gas crisis. So when I was looking at purchasing Project Spirit, Princess Faye actually, legitimately, she put up the money, and then we found it and talked the guy down. All that. We'll have to tell the story again sometime. But one of the first things when I wanted Project Spirit, but sight unseen, I knew $1,000 was a good price for this car. But the one thing that immediately said, "Oh no, you are definitely coming home with me. I don't care how it's got to be," is in this carburetor, but more importantly, right there. The screws are not monkeyed with. If you would see a lot of scarring around where the screwdriver would go, that would mean that this had been over torqued, meaning the body of the carburetor is warped out of place, meaning the carburetor would be junk. So that's one of the reasons why Project Spirit gets the gas mileage she does. This is still in great shape after 45 years. As a matter of fact, this November, she'll be 46. Doesn't look bad for a 46-year-old, does she? Anyhow. So, there's that. Oh, real quick, most important part. A lot of people talk about all the problems, of building things in China. Let me show y'all something very special. I don't know how it, yeah, right there. Made in USA. This car has a lot of that. This car was, well, as far as cars go, Harrison, yeah, she got some years. But right there says Made in USA. And this carburetor's still working after all these years. Well taken care of, okay? And if you, the throttle linkage, if you ever see on some of these shows where the guy will reach under there, he'll grab hold of something underneath the car and start revving it. That's because he's pulling that right like that. That actually connects down in on the pedal. And when I push that down, it opens everything up right like that. Okay, so if you ever see that, now you know how that works. Okay, again, there's been a lot that's changed. This actually, I just changed this not too long ago. These kept burning out, and that was because we kept getting them from China. And I finally had enough of it, and I called my friends over there at Napa over in Park Hills, and I said, look, man, something's got to give. I'm sick and tired of the ones from China that keep burning up on me. I've went through like a total of like, I think it was something like 7 in 5 months. I said, can you guys do something about this? I said, yeah, man, we could do something about this. I said, I will take one from anywhere in North America or Europe. I can live with that. Hey, what's going on, Mechanic CG? We're talking about Project Spirit, my 1975 Ford Maverick. We're doing a walk around of her. All right. So, but then, so we got this one actually was made in Mexico. So, I haven't had any problems with it. If anything, she's actually been running a lot better, with this on. She starts a whole lot better than she did before. I know earlier I did a video where I showed, this exhaust manifold being changed, where we changed it out. The one that was on there had a lot of extra tubes and stuff like that. I'll probably be live for a little while. I don't know how long. Just depends on how long it takes for this walk around. But that exhaust manifold we changed. I had to take it over to a shop, and the exhaust manifold that was on there had been there since like ever. And I had to have them break the bolts and tap in new studs and everything. Yeah, but I can guarantee that Project Spirit here would outrun it. That's not a joke. She has. We'll talk a little bit more about her top speed shortly. All right. So again, the inline six. You know, we swapped that out. She's starting to get a lot of leaks and everything in that old exhaust manifold. So that smoothed everything out. Along with that. Right over there is the original fan. Now, most modern cars will run an electric fan. Well, this has a mechanical steel fan. This thing will never wear out. As long as that thing is intact, it'll keep running forever, okay? Now, normally there's a shroud that goes around this and helps draw in cool air through past the radiator, across the engine and everything. Well, the problem is that most of the cars around this time started losing these fan shrouds. I don't know why. But with that solid steel fan, it doesn't seem to affect them. You just get them as close as you can to the radiator and it runs just fine. It'll stay cool. As a matter of fact, the thermostat in her engine is rated for 195 degrees, but most of the time I don't think she gets past 180. So if that's any indication, I mean, that's just how they are. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the distributor. I mean, we've spent enough time on the carburetor and the exhaust manifold. All right. And again, isn't that neat how my wife did that? Isn't that neat? Isn't that amazing artwork? She even did the scroll work, put Spirit's name up there. All right. That battery box is not original. We kept having problems with the battery would slide over and smack into the alternator, and it fling battery acid all up through the engine. And as a matter of fact, that is the end result of that. So finally, I had enough of dealing with trying to keep that in check and everything. So we had to actually I mounted this battery box in here, and it will stand the test of time now. Over here is probably one of the biggest innovations that I installed myself. The fuel filter down here, basically what this does is there's one up on the carburetor up underneath all of that. But this one here will get clogged before the one up on the carburetor. So all I got to do is come out here with the screwdriver, remove 2 clamps here and here, and this comes off. And all I got to do is reinstall a brand new one, and at most I pay $6 US. So it's real cheap, real easy to maintain. By the way, the spark plugs on this thing, ridiculously cheap. I think most of the time I don't pay more than $15 for all 6. Just depends on where I get them and, the prices of them. Now, underneath this mess, if you could see this right here, this is your ignition coil. This one is actually from Excel, which, if I remember correctly, is owned by Holley. You'll kind of note that I'm a big fan of certain car companies that date back a good ways. But this here provides a hotter spark. Now, from here, if you look at that wire, it runs from there all the way up to the distributor. That supplies the electricity down into the distributor cap. And then as there's a little bug inside there that turns, it lets off the electricity to the proper spark plug wire, goes down to the plug itself, ignites the fuel as the piston comes up and compresses the fuel and air mixture, pushing it back down, thus creating power and causes internal combustion to happen, okay? So that's just kind of a dumbed down version of that, all right? So there you have it. An original 1970s inline 6. Internally, it has never been rebuilt, and I'm going to show you how many miles is on this car. Okay, now at the time, a car lasting 100,000 miles was a lot. Excuse the dirty interior. I haven't had a whole lot of time to clean around. But right there, in front of that 8, that's the exact mileage. This odometer has turned over twice in its life, and we're about to turn it over for the 3rd time in its life. Okay, so right there, that should be an indicator of how long she has been going all these years. Now, bear in mind, she is also, there was 20 years that she was stored, okay? And we'll talk more about that a little bit later, all right? Oh, by the way, more of my wife's artwork. Check that out, all right? There you go. So, there you have that. So, if any of y'all got any questions about, about what I'm talking about or anything like that, feel free to ask away. Ask all you want, okay? So, there's Project Spirit's engine bay. All right. Real quick, this is going to start leading us in. This is the master cylinder. Please note, there's no big chunk of, huge part that's in behind this. That's because it's manual brakes, no power brakes. You just got to push down harder. Originally, when we got Project Spirit, the brakes on the front were drum brakes. Well, now we have brakes in there. They're huge compared to what the ones for the Maverick really are. But those brakes in there, we switched over to disc brakes, and the disc brakes are actually for the 70 to 73 Ford Mustang. They bolted right into place and everything else. We did a whole video talking about the conversion. So there you have that. Now, I'm going to turn y'all back towards me for just a moment. And we're going to lower the hood down. All right. No, you don't. Don't rotate the device. Okay. I told you, don't rotate the device. There we go. Now we're turning you right back around. There you go. Now the Striping, that is not factory. That is actually Princess Faye's amazing artwork with the with pinstripe tape. She actually did the hood itself. Actually took a total of 2 hours for her to do. So if you like that sort of thing, you know, and it does look like it has always belonged there, but this is again, that's not factory. Okay, she actually did that herself and did it all down the side. I basically told her where it would be best to put it, and there you go. Now the wheels that are on there, I have no idea where those came from. I haven't a clue. I couldn't tell you. When I got the car, they were there. Now, very commonplace on these old cars is that rust. Project Spirit has a total of 3 rust holes like this, and you can actually kind of hear it crunch. That is a bad thing. So what we're going to eventually do is this chrome piece will have to come out. It'll probably, when it does come out, it'll probably come out very rough. Yes, I won't tell you what it is, but we'll definitely be doing that. There will be some artwork under the hood, and the pinstriping will change a little bit. Basically, we'll have to actually take some aviator shears or tin snips, whatever you want to call them, and this will actually have to be cut out. Then we'll actually fashion in a new piece of metal and put it back into place. Now, this will probably not go back on, unfortunately. These usually come off very horribly after all these years. Even after 20 years, these strips actually just do not go back together very well. And they're notorious for actually holding in moisture. So these will probably come off because if we know that metal and moisture do not mix. So we don't want any more of that. And for the record, these are 15-inch wheels, okay? Again, I have no idea where they came from. The ones on the back are slightly wider than the ones on the front, if you were wondering about that. Okay. Now, let's go over here. You can actually, the huge dent that you see here on the side and kind of carries up to here and then right to there. Project Spirit was sideswiped when she was with her original owner. That's where that comes from. So she was sideswiped there. That's why there's that dent, and you can kind of see the damage along the side. The little gashes, again, that was from me losing my temper one day. So if you were wondering about that, yeah. Now, I'm sure you all wonder what type of transmission by now. Is she an automatic or something else? Well, you're looking at a 3-speed manual transmission. When I say 3-speed, okay, she's in neutral. That's first gear, down, over, that's second gear, straight up. That's third gear, and that's all you get. Only a 3-speed manual transmission. Reverse is all the way over like that, straight down. All right, that is how it all goes together. Okay, that's her manual transmission, and this is a Hurst shifter, old school, old school speed stuff that you just don't see anymore. Okay, now if you ever wondered. With modern cars, they tell you not to rest your hand up here like this when you're driving down the road. You can't do that. There's a fork inside of the transmission that when you rest your hand on there causes premature wearing. Well, that's because those are internally, they have internal linkage. This stick shift bolts to the outside of the transmission and has these rods running down alongside of it, connecting into the transmission. This is an external linkage transmission. So I'll push in the clutch and you'll actually hear that linkage and the transmission lock into place. Which is pretty cool. So originally though, this was not in the car. Originally, she was shifted up here. Her stick shift was up here, right here, actually. And it was what we called the 3 on the tree. And if you go to real early videos of Project Spirit, you'll see me, it went something like first gear was all the way here, then up and over here was second gear, and then it was third gear, and then all the way towards me and straight up was reverse. It was really neat. So when that broke inside here, we moved it down here to the floor with her shifter, about $250. And it's been one of my favorite modifications that we made to the old girl. So along with those modifications, the ignition has changed a great deal in Project Spirit. I need to quit smoking so much. All right. No, really, I smoke way too much. Now, we talked about in one video that little piece right there. Well, let me show you how all this comes together. Project Spirit does not have a regular ignition setup. What she actually has, this key, I wish they would have disconnected that at the shop. That still works. Let's do it like this. I hate that. Okay. First key goes right here. That unlocks my steering wheel, okay? The second key goes right here. We now have power, but this does not turn the car on. This does. Let me put her in neutral. Let out on the clutch. There you go. We'll come back to her engine running here in just a minute, but I thought y'all wanted to see that. So, without both sets of keys, this car is not going anywhere. And if you do get her started, and you don't get this unlocked first, you're only stealing her in a straight line. Along with that, we're actually getting ready to install a GPS tracker. So there you have it, okay? So there's that pretty cool tidbit. Again, now real quick, if y'all are wondering, Project Spirit never came with air conditioning. This is her heater control setup, all right? Literally, you have how hot or cold you want the heat, and here's your heat and your defrost. Here's the fan for all of that. If I want cool air as I'm driving down the road, I reach down here, open up the vent like this, pull that open, and cool air rushes through at me. No air conditioning needed. One of the reasons why she's also fuel efficient. So there's that. And this is actually what used to be the emergency brake. You'd pull that out, locked into place. Push it in, you're done. Here's your headlights and your wiper control. And right down there, I don't know how well you can see it. See that little button on the floor? That's my dimmer switch. Push that in. High beams. Push it back in. Back to regular. Okay? That's how we used to do it in the old days. And of course, the three pedals. All old school stuff. And originally, this is where the radio went. And there used to be a time when smoking was perfectly okay, so that's the ashtray. However, she didn't come with a cigarette lighter. That was optional. And of course, the glove compartment, again, don't mind the mess. I've been working so much lately. Hand crank windows and bench seat. Now, I'm going to show you guys something kind of important. This is kind of a running gag. I'm going to turn the camera back around. One of the reasons why I love bench seats is Princess Faye can sit right next to me, right like this. I could put my arm around her while we're going down the road. One of the reasons why I love this setup. And 4 doors and bench seats just kind of makes sense, you know. And for the record, every once in a while, I do catch a lot of flack for having a 4-door classic. Everyone's like, hey, man, the 2 doors are cooler. Nah, I got kids. Anyhow. Let's flip her back around. This video is not about me. Oh, and to tell you how old Project Spirit is, no metrics, no kilometers, all miles per hour. And she will bury that needle, okay? She will go past 120. I've checked that myself. So there you go. I mean, oh, and here, if you were ever wondering how these hand cranks are, okay, there's the window. Now, if I got a good hand crank, I can roll this up and down 2 times, roll it up and down twice before you would get your electric windows to do it once. It used to be that I could do it 4 times, but times have changed, and Project Spirit and I have gotten older, okay? It's perfectly okay. There's another one of the rust holes that I talked about. Right there, that'll have to be cut out, and new metal will have to be welded in, and to stop that completely. Thankfully, I have some friends that'll help me along with that. Oh, and if you were ever wondering what this particular piece here is called, that's a rocker panel, okay? So if you ever wondered what that section of metal is actually called, that's a rocker panel, okay? Now, let's move on a little bit further. At the rear, we still have drum brakes. Okay, now if you ever wondered how that worked, you see that big metal drum inside of there. Well, the brake shoes, when you press down on the brake, will expand out and grip that. Okay, and that's how those work. With your disc brakes, you've got that big metal doohickey like such, and when you squeeze down the brakes, there's these pads inside of your caliper that squeeze down like you would see on a bicycle. There's pros and cons about each one. It just depends on what you think, okay? So there is that. So basically she's got disc brakes on the front, drum brakes on the back. Okay. Now real quick, you've seen this logo now a few times here on Project Spirit. I'm going to give you a little back history here. The horns that you see here, there used to be a man who was known as Samuel Maverick in the 1940s. He was told that he was supposed to brand his cattle, and in essence, he told them no, he won't. And because he was doing things differently on his ranch, and that was just one of the things he was noted for, the name Maverick became synonymous with English language as someone who thinks outside of the box, someone who does things differently. So, because that is why you see that longhorn inside of the V, making a reference to Samuel Maverick, which made its way into the common culture here. Now, along this back area here, I actually did a video cutting that carpet and painting it to match the interior. We actually did that ourselves. Okay. Now, recently, I know y'all seen the video where we did this. Now, I have to give credit where credit is due. This was actually the idea of a friend of mine who goes by 3rd Gen 83 here on YouTube. He's got a couple of videos up, and they're about his Maverick, which is a great example of a gorgeous-looking Maverick. And if you get a chance, check out 3rd Gen 83 and give him a big thumbs up on those Maverick videos, because that is a gorgeous ride. But he was the one who suggested that I do this. So Princess Faye and I actually took and stripped her down to the bare metal and painted it back up, and that's exactly what we got, was right there. Now, this is actually a matte or satin finish, and Princess Faye and I did this ourselves. We did it in one day, okay? And eventually we're going to, the next spot that we're going to go is right here. We're going to take these corners off, and we're going to redo those, and those are going to go back on the same color of what the car will actually be, so you'll start getting an idea. And then once these corners are done, right, like such, then we're going to move on to the deck lid, or the trunk lid, however you want to say it. Now, real quick, one of the reasons why I love this fastback design that was on the Mavericks and a lot of other cars of her time was you could stretch out on the trunk lid with your sweetheart, rest your back against the back window, and you would be able to do some stargazing, if you catch my drift. So for romantic dates, Project Spirit is an excellent choice, let me tell you. Okay, again, we're back over here on the stripes and this particular logo. Now, in the old days, metal bumpers, chrome bumpers, look at that. Imagine that slamming into a modern car, or a modern car slamming into that. One of the reasons why I love these old cars, okay? The original style radio antenna. No ball topper needed. Real quick, for those that love the old cars. Oh, if you ever wondered. I'm not saying. Okay, right there. If you see that, that's actually the camera mount that allows me to get those shots out across her hood. So whenever you guys see me go into a slide or anything, that's where the camera's mounted, okay? It's just this suction cup, and the camera hooks right on there, and you guys can see out over her hood and everything. So that's how that goes together. All right. Again, I'm going to show you guys something really cool. Again, don't mind the mess. If you see those scratches actually came this particular color here, okay? Back in the old days, if a four-door car was painted this color, it was grandma's car, okay? So the irony of that is the original owner was a little old grandma. These scratches right here are actually from her grandkids, of which these will never go away. I will always leave these there because the person who sold the car to Princess Faye and I, who sold us Project Spirit, believe it or not, he was one of the grandkids that probably put these scratches there. That's why it's still there after all this time. And I'm never changing that. Even if I change the rest of the interior, that spot will stay the same. So, all right, now real quick. Again, this is an economy car from the 70s. For those that do not know, again, these are some of the common mistakes that they make with the Maverick. They say that the Maverick was a performance car. No, it was not. It was based on the Ford Falcon and the Ford Mustang. Which those that do not know, the Ford Mustang had the same frame as the Ford Falcon with just a few odds and ends changed. The Maverick got that same setup. That's why we were able to take the brakes for the 70 to 73 Ford Mustang and install them on Project Spirit. That's how that all worked out. Along with that, another thing that they will say is that the Maverick Grabber only got performance V8s. No, they didn't. They got the same engines that Project Spirit could get, two different inline sixes and one two-barrel carbureted V8, the 302 to be exact. However, if you were in a South American country or somewhere in the other parts of the world, you could get the 289, which was considered still to this day is the quintessential Mustang engine. The 289 high output, or hypo as it was sometimes called, was one of the engines in the original Shelby Mustangs and was in the Shelby Cobra Racer that was so famed in the 1960s. So if that's any indication, again, this is Project Spirit. And so I'm pretty sure y'all want to hear that original inline six do what it do. I know y'all want to hear it, okay? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to climb back in. Again, don't mind the mess. One of the next videos, or maybe one of the next lives, I don't know, we might try to put in the new seat covers that were sent to us by none other than Jammin' John. Mr. Sketchcars himself of Sketch Squad TV. He sent us kind of a care package for Project Spirit, and it would only be fitting that we did it in some sort of a video or a live or something where you see it being installed, or at least what it looks like after it's in. We just haven't done it yet. I'm not going to install brand new seat covers and floor mats into a dirty interior. You just don't do that. And I just haven't had the time to clean her out yet. So one-handed, I'm doing this. I need to remove her original key. Best I can. Hopefully I don't accidentally honk the horn like I did earlier today. That was funny as hell. There. Again, real. Locking steering wheel. Unlocked. Put her down into neutral. Come over hither. There. She's on, but she's not running yet. And give her a moment. Sometimes she starts a little rough. So what do y'all think? What do y'all think of my baby? Not bad for a 45-year-old car, huh? And she's off. Just like that. Steering wheel locks into place. And again, we'll be installing a GPS tracker before you know it. So if anybody is lucky enough to get away with her, they're not getting away for very far. So, real quick, a lot of people, for those that do not know, Project Spirit is so old school. That is what she uses for motor oil. Okay, 30 weight, straight 30 weight, not multi-grade. This is what they call multi-grade. That's multi-grade, okay? Straight SAE, the real stuff. This stuff is thick, and I mean, it's gelatinous in the cold, and that's why, I mean, today, you know, when they talk about the advancements of car technology and everything, I'm getting 40 miles to the gallon out of this car. Along with that, coming up on 300,000 all original miles. She's still going. She's still rocking. What gives? I guess car companies don't want to admit that at one time we had really, really good cars. As a matter of fact, when we figured out that on a really good day, I mean really good, Project Spirit can get all the way up to 64 miles to the gallon. And when we proved that that was a possibility, I had the audacity to call Ford up and tell them all about it. And the gal I talked to on the phone was like, we used to make a car called the Maverick. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So there you have that. Yeah, Project Spirit. So I hope you all absolutely enjoyed taking a walk with me around the old girl. You know, she is the true star of the channel. Later on today, if the weather stays with us, I'm going to take that plate out, clean it up, paint it the same satin black that's on her rear valence or taillight panel, however you want to say it. Real quick here. Real pot metal, okay? These are still original pieces. Right there, actually. Oh, you definitely like her, huh? Now, I'm going to tell y'all right now, she ain't for sale. We have had offers as far away as Hong Kong to buy her. Oh, real quick, there is something that I do have to show you. This is kind of cool. Side mirror, okay? Side mirror. Let's come over here to the other side. No side mirror. That's because here in the United States, that was actually optional, having the side mirror on the other side. So that she never got one. Now, we could possibly go back and cut the hole and put one here, but why? She doesn't need it. She only needs her rear view mirror and one side mirror. That's all she really needs. Okay? That was how it was meant to be, so why mess with a good thing, you know? So, if you all enjoyed Project Spirit, you guys know to smash the like button. Share it out to your friends, you know. She is still daily driven. As a matter of fact, I drive her, again, every day to and from work. There's been times I've had to delete hours and hours and hours of footage that was never used just driving to and from work. If you ever see me inside, you know, doing a video or whatever, it was from that driver's seat, doing the same thing that everybody else does, driving to and from work, but I'm doing it in a 45-year-old car. So, to let people know that it is possible, you can enjoy a classic. You can have a daily driven classic that is economical, that is reliable. We have proven it time and time and time again here on the channel. Now, I know some of you are going to freak out, but let me show you something very important. Project Spirit does not have the historical plates. Here in Missouri, that's important. Having historical plates means that you once those plates go on, your car never has to be inspected ever again, meaning that they can't be driven daily. Project Spirit still passes regular inspection like all the other cars you see on the road today, just like them. If that's any indication what can be done with a classic car, I don't know what is. So, all right. Do any of y'all have any questions? Any posers, inquiries, anything like that? If not, we're going to start winding this bad boy down. But mainly I wanted to do this walk around of Spirit. Initially, I wanted to do another cooking one and just something like that. But honestly, I think it's safe to say that, with everything going on with the world pandemic, we needed a distraction. Project Spirit's my distraction. So I just shared my distraction with you all. And I hope you enjoyed it. It means the world to me that Princess Faye gave me the money so I can, so I can buy Project Spirit. Technically, I guess you could say she bought Project Spirit for me. So she bought me my classic car that I enjoy daily. And, I love her. I love both the car and Princess Faye. And as time goes on, more and more happens to this girl in all the right ways. And, and I end up enjoying her that much more. By the way, for the record, Project Spirit has brought home a total of 5 trophies in 9 car shows. So if that, again, even as beat up as she is, she still brings home trophies and awards and all that other stuff like that. So not bad for an old beater, as we sometimes call them. Some people call them hoopties, and I've often heard them called jalopies, but, not bad for an old car. And believe me again when I say I do love this car. All right. So let me pan it around as it should be. Me hanging with my classic car like that, hey, you ever see a guy leaning up against his car like this, you're looking for trouble. At that point, he's looking for trouble. Okay. So, all right, that brings us to our usual spot. Let's see who stayed with us as much as possible. Mechanic CG. Be sure to check out his channel. Give him a big thumbs up, if you would. Gamerin, BRFC, an amazing guy. Does some really neat retro game stuff. Some stuff I've never seen before, and it's really neat what he does. So be sure to check out his channel. Real quick, let's see who else joined us. Harrison Ford Universe. I don't think he's got anything going on with that channel, but he's got a lot of subs, so I have no idea. I think he just reels them in. He reels them in for everybody. An amazing guy. Gamer, no, what makes this awesome is you guys joining in. I don't think a whole lot of people jumped in. This was kind of an impromptu thing, and actually moved Spirit from her normal parking spot because it put us a little bit closer to the modem so I could actually do this live stream. And let me say again, this is the real star of the Prince Magnum channel. I'm the host. This is the star. I'm the host. So plain and simple, this is the car that we're the team here, My wife bought this team, if I guess you could say. She married me, but bought the other half of the team. That's a little bit more like it. Anyhow. Yeah, I'm not a mail-to-order husband, okay? Just stop that right there. All right. So, all right. Thank you all again so much for hanging out with me here on the live. And if you're watching the playback, thank you again. And I hope you watch it all the way through because there's a lot of stuff on these cars that most people wouldn't even think about today. All right. So that brings us to a good stopping point. I might try to go live again later on. I don't know. If I do, I think we might try to do a sober talk later on. We might try to go later on in a sober talk, and we'll read some good stuff out of the big book, some stuff that might actually help us all. If not, we will do another one tomorrow, and God only knows what it's going to be. But I'm going to try to help you all out as much as possible, kind of get through this mess, so we can all come out on the other side a little bit more sane. All right. So I know I've been trying to say it. All right. That brings us to the point where I get to say, get out there and work on a project. I don't care what it is. It might be a classic 1975 Ford Maverick. Maybe it's something else. Tell me about it in the comments below. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet. You might take them out in your 1975 Ford Maverick. Or maybe it's another project. And as always, for all of you out there, especially in these dark times, if no one out there has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.